Hi everybody, welcome back to another video. I apologize if I'm a little bit stuffy today. I don't know, I think it's allergies. So today we're going to do a Tiffany & Co. inspired nail design with that iconic Tiffany blue, some rhinestones, a little bit of glitter, and some 3D work. So I thought I would just come in and show you guys how I would build a clear layer on a nail. If it was a person, I'm not too worried about it on a practice hand because we're never going to file these down for redesign. I just pop them out and replace them with new ones. But if this was a real client and they were getting an all acrylic design with color, especially, I would build that clear base because this has a couple of benefits. So if you build a clear base, then if they decide that they want a different color or something, then you can file down to this clear base and you're not filing down to that natural nail because that would hurt. It's good for glitter especially, and it also provides a little bit of strength to the natural nail, because if your product ratio is right here, then it won't matter if you are using a different kind of acrylic with your monomer. So I use Exclusive Nail Couture monomer, and if I use Valentino acrylic with it, while that might indicate surface breakdown, otherwise if this ratio is right, it won't affect the nail and it won't lift at all. So I'm going to go in here with Glam and Glits Vanessa. This is that Tiffany blue color. It's from the Color Acrylic collection. Sorry, the camera's a little wonky. Glam and Glits Ocean Spray Jewel, and it is from the Glitter Acrylic collection. It's really pretty blue-green glitter. Of course, we will go in with Crystal Clear from Exclusive Nail Couture. And we will be using the Glam and Glitz Back to Basics Ultra White acrylic powder. That is a core powder, and we'll use that for 3D art. So I'm just going to go in with Vanessa here. So Vanessa is I'm going to do a full nail of Vanessa on every single nail. And then I'm going to add glitter on top of some of them, and then some of them I'm going to just leave plain, but we'll get into that later. So with Glam and Glitz acrylics, you don't want to work super dry, and I kind of show you why you don't, because you get mass amounts of product. So right there, that is a more medium to wet bead. As you can see, it's kind of spreading around, but I can still kind of pat and pull it where I need it. If you use them too wet, in my experience, you are going to, you won't get the pigmentation that you want. You're just going to have to keep layering and layering and layering. So this is a little bit more time efficient, I guess, and it makes you, it's more of a normal, I guess, acrylic technique than just painting it on. So that's a pretty big bead there. So that's a pretty dry bead. As you can see, it's not really going anywhere. But if I keep monomer in my brush, I am able to kind of pat, pull, and kind of finesse it down the nail. You have to kind of think about your nail design as a whole when you start doing your colored acrylics, because you really don't want to waste product. For example, you can kind of see, you'll see it more when I file, I miss a corner. It's right where the fake, the nail would about be at the end of the fake finger. There is a little spot that I miss, and it really shows in the filing. But, that's okay, because I know I'm going to put gemstones there. So you just kind of have to always keep conscious about, is it going to be too thick? Does it really matter if I filed a little bit of this color away? And when in doubt, add glitter or gems. So I just kind of go in where I need extra product. I don't like to cap, and I think I talked about this in my first video, which even just looking back now, and I literally posted it last week, it just wasn't good. And I've since come up with better ways to film, better places to film, because even this one's not great. But I don't like to work with my colored acrylics. I don't like to build the entire nail with them. Glam and Glits is, in theory, a strength powder, and they claim that you can build a nail and the strength with their colored powders, but most of their acrylics come in a 1-ounce jar, and I don't want to have to buy more of that than I have to. It's more cost effective, in my opinion, to buy a big jar of clear and then proceed with it that way. So I keep my color thin and cap it in clear. That's why I call it kind of like an acrylic sandwich. And, if your clients, don't like gel polish that dulls or it chips, and that's their big problem, maybe they don't have nails that grow super fast, then this would be a really viable option for them, would be these colored acrylics and these all acrylic designs and sets, because you can get more wear out of them. Me, for example, where a lot of people would, need a fill, really need a fill in about 2 weeks, I can probably go 3 weeks and get the same amount of growth that they would in 2. My nails grow really slow. So all acrylic designs, if I was paying for them, it would be more cost effective for me to do an all acrylic design, because I would not be going back as often. And I'm hard on my nails, so it would, they would stay better. So they just, in my opinion, they stay a little nicer. But yeah. So there's that beautiful Vanessa color. I'm just going to let these set up. I'm working with my Susie brush. Oh my gosh, that's so shaky. I'm working with the Nail Career Education Susie brush. It is a number 8. It's an oval 8. I don't think I mentioned that in my last video, but it is an oval 8. That is my favorite shape and size of brush to work with, is the oval 8. It just, I don't know, I think it gets right nice into the cuticle. These cuticles are kind of square, so maybe it's not applicable here, but I think that an acrylic or an oval 8 is probably the most versatile size of brush, just because you can do really long nails with it. You might just have to, get some more liquid in it, or, do it in a couple more beads. But it's ideal for doing medium to short nails, and really in our everyday lives, that is what most clients are going to want. I do way more short nails than I ever do long nails. The longest nails I do are honestly probably mine. So most of the nails that I do are very short, so I don't need a lot of product. I'm just going to go in there, make sure that I have enough color at the cuticle. In hindsight, I probably could have left it, because I'm going to be adding glitter on that nail, and it won't really matter as much. So just keep that in mind when you're doing clients, because you don't want to make these nails too bulky. On a fake hand, it doesn't really matter, and it's a little harder to judge thickness on the fake hand because it's not like a real hand. But, that's just something to be mindful of. Alright, so now I'm going to go in with that Ocean Spray Jewel Glitter. I had never used this glitter, but I thought that it would look good with this set, and it sure did. So on the pinky, I'm going to go in with, I'm going to cover the whole nail with glitter. So the pinky and the thumb are going to be the same, and they're both going to be full nails of glitter. I don't know. It's just kind of like I'm just doing the glitter as a wash over the top so you can still see the color underneath, because I didn't want the colors to be like that different. I just kind of wanted to be a little sparkly. So the thumb and the pinky are going to be the same, and then the index finger is going to be a glitter ombre from the cuticle up. So it's going to fade towards the tip. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm just going to put the glitter at the cuticle, and it's super easy to fade up. If you're having trouble with ombres, I would definitely recommend ombreing with glitter first, so you can see how I'm leaving the majority of the product back by the cuticle, and I'm leaving it alone, and I'm just kind of brushing the tip of the top of the bead up, and it creates that beautiful fade. So now I'm just going to go in on the thumb and do that thin wash of that Ocean Spray Jewel, which is so pretty. Like I said, especially if you were doing an ombre, I probably wouldn't have even worried about taking that Vanessa completely to the back, like towards the cuticle, because you want your concentration of the glitter to be near the cuticle. And like I said, we want to minimalize thickness here. So I'm just going to clean that up and we're good. So before I go in and cap, especially, I wet the nail with a little bit of monomer, and then I go in with my bead of clear acrylic. So as you can see, I'm leaving a lot of it back towards the cuticle, because that's where I want my apex to kind of start, and I just put some at the tip and I brush it back. There's a lot of different ways that you can, like, techniques that you can do this. You could do 1 ball, you could do 3 ball. Honestly, I just do as many beads as it takes to get the right structure. And then I go in with one at the middle, that would probably be the stress point. So then I'll just move on to the next nail, and I'm going to cap every nail. So the reason that I wet over with monomer is because if you don't, and your product is a little bit too dry, as you can see I have a little bit of powder on the side of that bead, that powder would just kind of sit on the nail, and you would end up encapsulating the powder when it's not polymerized. Sorry if you can hear explosions and screaming. My boyfriend is watching a movie in the living room and my walls are thin. So anyways, it will encapsulate that unpolymerized powder, and it'll create, it doesn't look good, because you want your colored acrylics, and especially if you have a glitter or any kind of design, you don't want that ruined by specks of white or like a frosted kind of look, unless that's what you're going for. But personally, I don't want that. And I think of that, little swipe of monomer as, if any of you guys are gel techs, or I don't work with builder gel a whole lot. I do know how to do it, but it's not my favorite. Acrylic is my favorite. I almost think of it as a slip layer. Like in gel, if you put a slip layer down, you just put a thin layer of builder gel and don't cure it, and it kind of tells the gel where to go. I think of the monomer, just wetting the nail with monomer, as that as well. And like I said, it'll catch any little pieces of powder that haven't polymerized in the initial polymerization between the liquid and the powder. And I also like to work with my clear cap a little bit more on the wet side, especially if I'm doing stuff with glitter, because I think that if it's a little bit more wet, it kind of does more of its own work. It travels down the nail on its own, and you don't risk bubbles so much, and you don't risk it like not adhering really to the nail in one spot, because it's kind of too dry, and then you get that like weird little shadowy white line that doesn't look cute. So I'm just going in there making sure my structure is completely built, and I want to make sure it's as smooth as possible so I have minimal filing to do, because filing is my least favorite. I don't like to file. I can't even imagine filing by hand. I'm pretty sure I have carpal tunnel syndrome because my hands always hurt when I file, like, a lot. That's why I do a lot of it with an e-file. So you just want to make sure all that glitter is capped. You can kind of tell when a glitter is capped a little bit better than maybe a color because the glitter will go matte. Not so much with these fine glitters, but like it won't be super shiny. Like it's shiny a little bit right now, you can kind of tell because the clear is still wet, but as it sets up and as it starts to become more matte, you won't see that shine as you originally did when it was put on at first. You can see it a little bit better in like holographic glitters, but it's the same kind of premise here. Alright, so now I'm going to go in and I'm going to start my filing routine. So I do sidewall, sidewall, free edge. So the sidewall to my right, I usually do first, and then the sidewall to my left, I do next, and then I do the free edge. So as you can see, we're doing these in a coffin shape. I am using my fantastic file from Exclusive Nail Couture. I do have a suggestion though, just make sure you score the edges of this file, like of this sticker, because the file itself is like a little sticker that you put on the metal file. Just make sure you score the edges of that so you don't cut your clients. I think most of us would do that with a cardboard file, but forget that these edges can also be sharp. So you just need to make sure of that because that can give a client a nasty slice. So I'm just doing this to kind of minimize some of the filing I'm going to have to do with my e-file later. And the key to getting that really strong, nice coffin shape is you want to keep the file at a 90-degree angle to the side wall and as well to the free edge. If this was a real client, I would flip their hand over and make sure that it was straight from their point of view. So as you can see, I got my lighting right. And I'm going to go in with my e-file. So this e-file is my McCart e-file. I got it on Amazon. It was about $60. If you're a beginner or you just want like a decently priced e-file that works pretty well, this would probably be the e-file I would recommend. Yeah, I like it better than my first one, but not as much as the one I have now, which is the Kira Sky one. So this was shot before I got the Kira Sky one. Otherwise, I would be using it. It's not a portable file. It's a stationary one. So what I do when I file is I go around the cuticle area and I get that smooth, I get that flush, and I seal that. And then I just go back and forth, right to left, side to side, with this is probably a medium coarse bit or a fine, well, depends on how much bulk I have to remove. Medium is nice, but then if I go in with a medium coarse bit, then I always file the top of the nail a little bit to kind of remove any scratches. But if I go in with a fine one, I don't necessarily need to do that. The only time that I don't go side to side when I file is when I file, I'll file up and down if I'm removing a lot of product. So, this bit is from Exclusive Nail Couture, and I think it's the flat top. It's a flat top barrel bit, and it's cute. It's pink. I've had it for quite a few years and haven't needed to get a new one, so it still does the job. You just need to be careful around the cuticle that you're not like digging into the natural nail because that'll create kind of like that ring of fire effect, and that's not cute. So I just go and I file and I make sure that the sidewalls are there's not like a ridge that it like gradually kind of slopes down, and it's not like a straight up wall. I make sure the tip is thin, and normally if this was a client, I would also file a little bit underneath the nail as well with a different bit, usually a smaller one. Alright, so I've kind of dusted those off, and I'm now buffing the nails. I think I probably hit these with a file as well. This is a gritty buffer, kind of it's from the Nail Career Education file kit. It's really good for prepping the nail and kind of buffing it smoother and removing some of the scratches, but also keeping it rough enough for gel polish. So it's really good for that, and making sure that there's no like rough edges on your sides. And I apparently saw something I didn't like, and I'm fixing that shape on the thumb. And then I just take my brush and brush it all off. So now I'm going to go here, and I'm going to make the middle finger is going to be like the present, or the Tiffany box. So I actually went to Tiffany's. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of you have probably maybe been there, especially if you live in New York, but I'm from Pennsylvania, so I don't get to New York City a lot. I had gone my senior year of high school. It was a couple days after my birthday, and I was going to see a show with my drama club, and we were kind of at a loss for what to do because I was too old for the American Girl store, and so we just were kind of wandering down Fifth Avenue, and we were like, oh, let's go to Tiffany's, and my mom and my grandmother bought me these gorgeous sterling silver earrings. We stayed on the sterling silver floor. They're just these simple hoops, and I love them, and they're such an excellent keepsake. They were a birthday present / graduation present for my 18th birthday. So I really cherish those, and I really have and Breakfast at Tiffany's is my favorite movie, so that's why these nails are, I don't know, they're kind of special to me. I have a picture of a set that I did similar to these on my Instagram. It's probably close to a year ago. But I'm going in with acrylic paint here and just a detailing brush. Oh, and we're moving on. But I actually redid it anyways because I didn't like it. And then I forgot to film the bow. So I filed it off. So you can see I filed off some of the ribbon, if you will, and that's my bad. But it's okay. Some of it's covered up. So when I go in to do this 3D bow, I'm going in with that Glam and Glits Back to Basics Ultra White, and I'm using my, what's it called? It's Petite Macaroon. It's from Exclusive Nail Couture. It's a number 2 acrylic 3D brush. It's really good for this. So when I do anything 3D, I have a tutorial where I'm going to go more in depth with a bow because this isn't how I normally do a bow. I get a big enough bead that I'm going to need it, and if it's too dry, which most of the time it is, I just go in, I fill my brush with monomer, and then I go in and touch the bead just a tiny bit with that brush to add a little bit of monomer so it'll kind of become more circular and not as dry for me to work with, and I can really get the shape that I want and the detail that I want. So I'm going to do the same thing down here with the hanging part of the bow, the hanging ribbon part of the bow. So as you can see, I just touched them so that they start to kind of polymerize a little bit more. I'm going to stretch them out and make them more like a rectangle right now. And it's just a lot of padding and finessing. When I do this, when I'm kind of messing with the shape of the bead, and as you can see, I just took my brush and I split it really lightly down the middle to create that kind of fishtail ribbon end effect. There's a little too much there, so I'm just kind of slicing it off and, swiping it off the nail. I never have any monomer. I really dry my brush off. I wipe it off. I try to get all the monomer out of there because you want it to be in a nice limbo state of curing where it's just gone matte, but you can still play with it. So you don't want it to be too wet. And if you have a whole lot of monomer in your brush still, it's just going to keep adding it in there and it's going to slow you down. And then you're just going to have a big floppy mess. So there's that bow. It's pretty cute. The last detail is I put a little bead of acrylic. It's really more like a medium bead, I would say, with this brush, in the middle in between the two loops. And that acts as like the middle of the bow where it would wrap around itself. I don't know, I'm not very good at explaining the anatomy of a bow. I don't know, it kind of looks like a cheer bow to me. I think it's really cute. I like how that turned out. So next I'm going to go in on this nail with my gummy jelly from Exclusive Nail Couture, and this is a thicker, it's a thicker gel. So as you can see, I'm going to show you the viscosity of it. It's not like necessarily a builder gel because it's not super stringy. Like, it's just straight up like very gummy. I think Max actually does have a builder gel that's more like this viscosity. I think it's called Souffle Gel. But I just you can take a brush, but I take the end of my crystal katana or gem picker-upper, and I just kind of swirl some on where I want it because I don't want it on the whole nail. And I'm applying a decent amount, but not enough to be super duper thick. And then I'm going in with the shiny gel, which is his top coat, the top coat from Exclusive Nail Couture, and it's one of my favorites. And I put that on top of the gummy jelly before I cure anything. I don't cure anything yet until I have placed those gems. And what this is going to do, it's going to basically shrink wrap those gems. Like, they're going to settle into the gummy jelly, and then the shiny is going to shrink wrap them. And I have tried this technique with the gummy jelly with other top coats, and it does not work as well. It's not shiny, and it's kind of like sticky. I don't know, it's still sticky. It just doesn't work as well. So I'm just going in with a couple different sizes of crystals. I have the bigger one in the middle, and then I kind of gradually get a little smaller as I get towards the edge of the nail. I did it in this particular design because I kind of wanted it to look like a necklace because, Tiffany's is a jewelry store. So I just pick them up and I place them where I want them. And the nice thing about this, opposed to like a glue or a resin, is that once you place them, it's not like solidified that you need to have it there. You can bump them around without like wrecking everything and creating like weird residue. You just have to watch sometimes if you're doing it as a whole nail. Sometimes they do kind of slide around, and I wouldn't do this with like a pointy back gem because that kind of gets a little bit messy. They slide around too, but these are great. This is a great technique for flat back gems. I love it. So now I'm going to take the other end of my crystal tool, and I'm just going to bump the sides up to make sure the gems aren't like overflowing off of the nail. And I'm just going to take a little bit of the shiny top coat, and I'm just going to wipe around my design, careful not to like move it, and I'm not going to wipe over the gems, just to make sure everything is sealed. And I'm going to cure that for 60 seconds in the lamp by itself before I continue anything, if I was doing this on a real person, because then I'd work on the other hand. So now I'm going to use that beautiful shiny and that amazing packaging, and I'm going to top coat the rest of these nails. So I think I forgot to mention I had top coated the middle finger before I did the 3D art. You don't have to do that, but I think it makes it a little easier to start over. So I did it in between doing the ribbon part in the acrylic paint, and then I put a top coat on after that had dried and I cured it. So I'm just putting the top coat on, seeing the glitter come to life. And we are almost done with this. So after I get all of that top coated, I will cure for 30 seconds. I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know if you have tried any of these colors, or maybe if you've been to Tiffany's, or if there's anything specific that you would want to see. I have gotten a little bit better with my filming, and I have like 3 other videos I need to do voiceover on, so I'll have them coming to you. There's a little clip of how those look. So be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and comment down below if you want to see anything. Stay safe, guys. Bye.